4:15 a.m. to 4 hours. Okay, 4 hours is my elapsed time. Again, I'm looking for my end time. Elapsed time means I'm adding those hours. So I start something at 4:15 a.m. So I woke up early. I was going to go on a run for 4 hours, which sometimes I do. So I'll run for 4 hours and I'll finish at a certain amount of time. Get home, have some breakfast. Okay, have some breakfast. So I get up at 4:15 a.m. Okay, now my elapsed time is 4 hours. That means the time I'm adding, the event that happened was 4 hours. There are no minutes here. So I don't have to worry about adding any minutes, which means on the 4:15, when I look at 15 minutes, when I go to the end time, it's going to be something 15. Now that might sound confusing, but what it means is that if I have 4:15 and I'm adding 4 hours, I have nothing in this minutes place. So it's like 15 minutes plus 0 minutes equals 15 minutes. Okay, equals 15 something hours and 15 minutes. So now I just have to look at my hours. I'm at 4 a.m. and I'm adding 4 hours. So 4 plus another 4 hours is going to be 8. So my end time is 8:15 A period N period. Okay, capital A, capital N. All right, let's do our next one. 4:55 p.m. plus 18 minutes. And I say plus 18 minutes because that's my elapsed time. That's how long something lasted. So maybe think of something. What could have happened at 4:55 p.m. that would last 18 minutes? Think to yourself. Maybe you had a snack at 4:55 p.m. and it took you 18 minutes to eat it, and now you're going to start something else. So you need to know what time you ended eating your snack. Or maybe you're watching the end of a television show before or after you do your homework afterwards. So 4:55 p.m. you watch your television show for 18 minutes. You want to know what time it's going to end, right? There are a lot of events where we need to work with our elapsed time. So 4:55 p.m. plus 18 minutes. Now this is a little bit different than the one before because here I don't have any hours. I don't have any hours. But I do notice that 4:55 is only 5 minutes away from the next hour, right? So if I add 5 minutes to 4:55, I'm going to get to 5 o'clock. So follow me here. We're at 4:55, and I'm going to add 5 minutes. And that's going to take me to 5 o'clock. Okay? Now, I can only add 18 minutes. My elapsed time is only 18 minutes, and I've already used 5 of those minutes. So if I have 18 minutes, I've used 5 of those minutes, that means I have 13 minutes left to add. So if I have 5 o'clock plus 13 minutes, I'm going to get 5:13. And I circled the plus 5, and I circled the plus 13 because those are the minutes I added, and the 5 and the 13 would make it 18 minutes. So my end time is going to be 5:13 p.m. Capital P, capital M, period. Alright? The next one, I'm at 2:15 a.m., so you're sleeping. And maybe in an hour and 15 minutes, this elapsed time, you hear a dog bark, or you hear the lightning, or the rain start. Alright? So again, elapsed time is the difference between the starting time and the end time. Alright? So, at 2:15 a.m., I'm adding an hour and 15 minutes. So I can look at my 15 minutes, on my elapsed time and my 15 minutes on the AM, and I know that I'm going to end with something 30. What do you mean, Mr. Craig? What do you mean something 30? I mean, if I start at 2:15 a.m. and I add 15 minutes, I'm going to get 30 minutes. Okay? I'm going to get 30 minutes. So, I'm going to end over here. And then if I look at the 2 and the 1 hour, so I need to add 1 hour to the 2, which is going to be 3, because 2 plus 1 is 3. So my end time is going to be 3:30 A, period, N, period. Capital A, capital N. Alright? Alright, 11:55 a.m. I do something for 2 hours and 5 minutes. Maybe I go to a movie. Okay, matinee, cheaper prices. And then I want to know what time that movie's going to end. So 11:55 a.m. If I add this 5 minutes to 11:55 a.m., I'm going to get 12 p.m. It's going to be noon. Right? So 11:55 plus that 5 minutes is going to get me to 12 p.m. Okay? I added the 5 minutes. Now, after I've added the 5 minutes, I have 2 hours left to add. So 12 o'clock plus 2 hours. 12 to 1, 1 to 2. So 12 o'clock plus another 2 hours is going to be 2 o'clock. Now I can't add it like this, right? Because when we add normal numbers, we work in groups of hundreds. But when we're talking about time with minutes, seconds, hours, we work in groups of 60. So I can't really add it like this, but I can count in my head 12 to 1, 1 to 2, and I'm going to end at 2 o'clock. T, period, N, period. All right. This next question, it says, how do we find the start time for a show that ends at 4:15 p.m. and lasted 3 hours? Here's your answer. Just slide down the box. The show ends at 4:15. All right? It lasted 3 hours, which means 3 hours ago it started. Right? If something ends at 4:15 and it was 3 hours long, it means it started 3 hours ago. So if I go backwards 3 hours, I'm going to find my start time. And my start time would probably be 1:15 p.m. because it's a show and I'm probably not in the morning, so it's P period N period capital. So my start time would be 1:15 p.m. And that's just a quick little brain teaser. So number 3, we're going to be doing some more of that. I don't know my start time, but here's my elapsed time, the difference, and then the end time. Alright? So just as a review, we started by finding the elapsed time. And we did all this work on this page by finding the elapsed time. So this part over here was all blank. And we did all the work to find everything over in our elapsed time section. Okay? So we did 7:45 plus the 8:50, or it ended at 8:15, so we found the difference. Okay, so remember we added the 15 minutes to get to 8, and then from 8 we added another 15 minutes to get to 8:15. And so we had the 15 minutes and the 15 minutes. So the difference we found, remember, was 30 minutes. That was my elapsed time. That was the difference between the start time and the end time. Then we came over to this page and we said, how do we find the end time? Okay, we found the elapsed time, but now how do we find the end time? So we have a start time. The elapsed time means we're adding, in this case, where the cursor is, the 2 hours to get to our final time, our end time, right? So really what I did was I said, I know that something starts at 4:55 p.m. It's going to last 18 minutes. What time is it going to end? Okay, so I'm adding the elapsed time to the start time. So when I know my end time and I know my elapsed time, which is again just how long something was, and I don't know my start time, I'm now going backwards. So I'm actually going to subtract. If I know my end time and I know my elapsed time, but I don't know when I started, I'm going to subtract or go backwards, which is what we did here. We knew the show ended at 4:15 p.m. And I knew it lasted, or the elapsed time was 3 hours. So I'm going now backwards 3 hours to figure out when it started. Okay? And you can just think, recess ends at 10:20. It lasts 20 minutes. What time did it start? Well, I know it ends at 10:20. It lasted 20 minutes. If I go backwards 20 minutes from 10:20, that's going to be 10 o'clock. And you all know that because you all tell me when it's 10 o'clock for recess time. So, when we are looking at our start time, we're going to actually begin with our end time and work backwards. Okay? We're working backwards here. So to do the first part of number 3, the end time is 4:15. If I need to go backwards 3 hours, which is just what we did before, it's going to be 1:15. Okay? So you can fill 1:15, it will be PM, because I'm not crossing over the PM, the post-meridian. Right? So let's look at the next one. 2:45 p.m. is the end time. The elapsed time was 15 minutes. So I like thinking of stories for the time. So maybe we had an extra recess at the end of the day, and it ended at 2:45. Okay, I gave you 15 minutes of free recess. What time did that recess start? That could be a good question. So the free recess ended at 2:45. It lasted 15 minutes. Okay, it was a 15-minute free recess. What time did it start? Well, I have to go backwards. So if I'm at 2:45, I need to go backwards the 15 minutes. So 45 minus 15 is 30. So that means the recess started at 2:30, capital P, period, capital M, period. Okay. Now as I go through these, I might want to find a way to check my work. So how could I check my work? How do I know that I'm getting these correct? You know, it might be confusing at first and it might feel right, but I want to double check and make sure because I'm being diligent and responsible and checking my work. So a way to do that would be I could start at 2:30, add the 15 minutes, add the elapsed time, or how long the recess was, and see if that equals 2:45. And if you started at 2:30 and added 15 minutes, you would get to 2:45. So you can check your work by going the opposite direction. I'm going left to right now.